I'm not a massive action slasher kind of player, but I do enjoy a good one every now and again. And I can confidently say the first Berserker Khazan grabbed my attention. Taking us back quite a few months, I saw somewhat of a trailer snippet for it at one of the various annual game shows, and I thought it looked cool, but it was one of those things where you raise your eyebrows, nod with some enthusiasm, and then completely forget about it after a few days. Jumping forward to last week, I saw someone on TikTok streaming it, and I watched for all of 45 seconds, and then I scrolled. It's not that the game didn't look interesting, I just kept scrolling for some reason. This brings us to just the other day. As I've been playing a ton of Souls-like and actual Souls-born games, I went on Steam and looked under the Souls-like tag to see if anything new or old would catch my eye, as I was preparing for my next Souls-like adventure. And to my surprise, I saw the first Berserker Khazan pop up. So I clicked on it, watched about 15 seconds of the main Steam page trailer it featured, and then scrolled down to the other details. And what instantly grabbed me was a big green button that said download demo. I thought, I mean, come on. It's a free demo. Might as well give it a try. So I downloaded it and then forgot about it for half of that day. I came back later that night after leaving my PC on and saw that the Steam page was still up and my cursor was hovering over the play button for the newly downloaded demo. I didn't even check what time it was. I just clicked play and dove right in. Now, I'd like to take a second to mention I had no idea who this character was, what he was based on, what the lore of the world was, and I actually had no idea that this character comes from the Dungeon Fighter Online universe. So if you're like me and you're wondering who this character is, this is the Great General Khazan. He was falsely branded a traitor, and for that, he was mercilessly tortured. After narrowly escaping death, Khazan is given the power of the Blade Phantom, a seemingly dark presence with its own wishes and intent, with the purpose of completing its objective through the body of Khazan. Now, of course, Khazan has his own thoughts on this, and we'll get to that. But now, why does this demo need to be studied? From the opening moments with an incredible cinematic to the first moment Khazan gets the power of the Blade Phantom, I was intrigued as to how this was going to play out. Also, with this being a demo, I was thinking we may fight a few light mobs, maybe 1 or 2 elite level mobs, and travel a pretty linear path for all of about maybe 25 minutes, and then you'd get a big banner pop up in the middle of the screen that says, "Thanks for playing, purchase the game now." But that wasn't the case at all. To my surprise, I was fighting 1, 2, 5, no 10, no even more back-to-back soldiers as I traversed, and some just had swords, where others had swords and shields, others had bows and arrows, and I thought, wow, there's actually quite a few different mobs to fight. Alright, demo, how much are you really offering here? I continued forward and made it to a bonfire, or at least that's what I call every waypoint now after playing Dark Souls. I leveled up a few times with the points that I had gathered, fought even more mobs, and even got some loot to try on. I'm thinking, okay, wow, there really is some substance here, but it'll surely end around the next corner. No? Okay, the next corner. No? Okay, what kind of demo is this? This is awesome! I was parrying enemies, getting upgrades to my gear, reading through lore notes, and then I ran into a massive bear. For the next 45 or so seconds, I brawled with this absolute monster, and eventually I got backed into a corner, but I kept my parries going, and eventually got a guard break on the bear, and from that, I was able to finish the job. This bear was guarding a chest I very quickly opened after defeating it. Along the path, I battled with more and more soldier mobs, and then I ran into what I can only describe as some form of a golem gorilla. A few parries and heavy attacks later, and that beast fell. I then ran into a shortcut that let me skip everything I had just done and go from the bonfire directly to the boss fight. I thought, surely no way I actually get to fight this boss in the demo. But after a wicked cool cinematic, I was in a full boss fight with the Yatuga, an absolutely massive yeti. Over the next 20 or so minutes, I fought this beast, dying once to its ice breath, another to a finisher move where the boss slams you into next week, and honestly another 1 or 2 times before officially being able to drop it. I thought, okay, that was sick. Now here comes the banner that says buy the Okay, wait, I'm in another cinematic? Dude, this is freaking awesome! During that cinematic, Khazan passes out, but he is saved by a nice elder woman named Quimik. And right after this cinematic, I was thinking, and here comes the buy the game? No. How? What is this demo? I still get to play? A ladder was just up ahead, and Quimik instructed me to take the path ahead where I would face 3 challenges to prove if I was strong enough to rid myself of the Blade Phantom. By this point, I was an hour or so deep, and I'm genuinely smiling, thinking, what kind of game is this where I actually get to play a decent chunk of the beginning? I was completely blown away. This was no trial. This demo was a full experience to get you hooked, and I was all for it. I traversed the paths, fighting even more mob types like wolves and, I guess, infected zombie monkeys or something like that, which then led me to my first trial. As a cutscene played, where I grabbed a great sword that was plunged into the snow beneath my feet, all I could say was,
"Use it, you never will." Oh boy! That stuff is, yes! It'll get you going. Yo,
great swords are my whole thing. If a game has one, I'm all over it. And as I slammed my way through the next waves of zombie mobs, I had the biggest grin on my face. Making my way to the second trial, I was given a massive glaive-like spear to style on these ghostly knight sort of mobs. And although I wasn't using this weapon as effectively as I could have, I liked the power this thing had behind it. But I switched back to greatsword soon after. During this demo, I was also greeted to a full skill tree loaded with awesome abilities. And of course, I immediately gravitated towards the jump slam that the greatsword had. On to the third trial. I gotta be honest, I got wrecked quite a few times on my way to this place, to then just get wrecked even more by the mini-boss within. This guy was throwing all kinds of crazy combos at me, and although I tried parrying and landing my strikes more carefully, I was getting whooped. But eventually, I was able to take him down. Proceeding forward, I saw a very cool snowy mountain trail at the top of all of these grounds, and there was another bonfire. So I rested, leveled up with the points that I had, and assumed that as I walked forward, the demo would end. Nope. More incredible cinematics and a full boss fight with a materialized version of the Blade Phantom. I'm thinking, no way. Am I seriously able to fight another boss on top of all of that? Seriously, what in the world kind of demo is this? The Blade Phantom proved to be challenging with his multi-combo strikes, swapping from dual claw blades to a sword to a hammer, even punching and kicking me, and he even had AoE abilities that could bring up these netherworld spikes. I was getting whooped on hard, and that's when homie pulled out the force choke and then body slammed me into next month. And see, that wasn't all, because the Blade Phantom entered a second phase once I got its health bar down about 40%. I ran it back to back, and after about 5 deaths, I was finally able to put the Blade Phantom down. Even more incredible cinematics played, and now Khazan was making a deal with this Phantom. It needed his body for its own purposes, but he needed its strength. So an alliance was made, and shortly after, Quimik realized that path, and she warned Khazan it was far more dangerous. After all of these cutscenes, I was able to move Khazan around a bit more, and just up ahead was my last bonfire. Upon interacting with it, it said, "Return to title screen." So I did. I was greeted by an exhilarating half gameplay, half cinematic trailer, which ended by saying the First Berserker Khazan would be available on March 27th. But now the moment that trailer ended, my eyes immediately met the coolest thing that this demo had to offer. I was in pure shock as the text that said, "Thank you for playing. Saved data from the demo will carry over to the full version of the game. No freaking way." At this point, I'm 2.5 hours deep. I traversed 2 decently sized starting areas that both had verticality, shortcuts, multiple mob types, 2 full boss fights. I even got to level up around 20 times. I got 4 different armor sets, some that even had set bonuses. I got to try out 3 completely different weapons, and I even got to unlock and upgrade skills within a pretty deep skill tree. For having absolutely absolutely no knowledge of this game being made up until just a matter of months ago, to then trying a demo that quite literally knocked my socks off, I can confidently say this game and its demo need to be studied. A game that is so confident in what it offers that it says, yeah, give them an experience that'll stick with them. Give them something that'll make them want more. Give them something worth playing. These 2 hours were the embodiment of peak. And now, I in fact want the full meal. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on the First Berserker Khazan demo, so please let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't played it yet, seriously, close the video right now and go play it. It's genuine peak. Your time is incredibly valuable, so thank you so much for spending any of it watching and or listening to me discuss what my 2.5 hour experience with the First Berserker Khazan demo was like, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have an awesome rest of your day.